little bit of a different agenda. We're going to cover um, two very related topics. Um, as always, post any questions that you have, and let us know, how we can clarify or expand what we're talking about, or frankly any other topic you'd like us to cover. So there's two related things we're going to talk about today. We're going to revisit the growth plan and introduce a new service that Locable is going to be offering. And then we're going to talk about the life cycle that this growth plan enables you and businesses and your community and how that works together using the example of Ray's Deli. So for those of you who've been through the training and have kicked things off, this should look pretty similar or familiar to you. And one of the common things that we hear from publishers is, this is great, we want to do this, and then they get sidetracked or they get busy or whatnot. And so very few of our publishers are executing 50, 60, 70% of the plan. So I'm going to revisit the plan, at least portions of it. I'm going to talk about some of the things we're going to be doing here. So the first thing we want all of our publishers to do is engage the community. You already do this, of course, throughout the course of your day. You go to events. You might be on the chamber. You clearly are out selling and reporting on things happening, but we want to take it further. We want you to engage with homeowners associations and chambers and merchant associations. Let them know that your calendar, your directory, in fact, your content is about them, and in some cases should be by them. Obviously, we want you to sell charter sponsorships if you're a newer site, or if you're an established site. There's actually a chance to still go out and to get these charter sponsorships in addition to your standard campaigns. And then, of course, selling sponsored columns and recruit columnists and so forth. We talked about recently, go out and get the SPCA to write a column for you and sell a sponsorship to the pet store. When you do this, of course, you'll be needing to manage contributors and setting expectations and so forth. And so once the community is enlisted, the next level is bootstrapping content. Of course, you've all been through training, so you've already got some content, but you want to continue sourcing content and promoting local content. Sometimes this means curation, not just creation. If you're a print product, it means you need to post your print content as well as your print to web and supplements. The viral triggers is stuff that we've talked about recently, right? The things that tend to go viral, like lost dogs, health inspection reports for restaurants, things of that nature. Many of you already do local profiles, and there's opportunities to extend this further online, particularly when you couple it with, say, the 5-star reviews contest. We did talk quite a bit recently about themed content, creating guides, that whole notion of repurposing what you already have, and in some cases selling sponsorships, running the blogger contest to recruit people who can write for you and can bring a unique voice and authenticity to your site. If you've run the blogger contest, and it's been a while, hey, feels like that time of year again. And then, of course, there's a set of related activities to really take the content, take your effort, and bear more fruit. So that means, creating and growing your email subscriber base. It also means you need to send emails and get feedback and engage with your email list in a way that it feels like it's something people welcome when it gets to their inbox. Obviously, you need to manage social media profiles. For most of you, that means Facebook. For some of you, that means Twitter and Pinterest and so forth. And then things like inbound lead nurturing. This is one thing we've seen a lot of publishers in the network could use help with. You get a lead that comes in, and immediately it becomes a print lead. Wait a second. Why is it going straight to the print lead notion? Why is it not going through this process of discovery and sort of qualification? It may be that they'd be a great fit for a social promotion, or perhaps even to sponsor that blogger contest we talked about. So all these things need to work together. And obviously, you all on this call and those listening later, you have your natural inclinations, your skill sets, the things that you look out on this list and go, yeah, these are really easy. And then there's things on this list where you go, oh, this is going to be so much work. Some of you, we know from having gone through the onboarding process, are not using the most sophisticated of tools for things like managing your customers and so forth. And so sometimes that would make this more cumbersome. And so what we're introducing in addition to continuing to train you and build software to make these things as easy as possible, is an actual service, an outsourced service, where we can wear the community manager hat and the web editor hat. Now you can see I've color-coded. At the bottom, those things in purple loosely align with community manager, and web editor loosely aligns with orange loosely aligns with web editor. These roles obviously have some overlap, but the idea here is we want to make sure that you're doing everything you should be doing. And sometimes that means you need to bring more, people into the fold. But hiring a whole new person to do some of these things isn't always possible or feasible or frankly practical. In many cases, it's not a full-time job. And so we're going to be introducing this as an offering. This is just a preview for you. We're still working on a lot of details, so if this is at all interesting, if the idea of us doing some of this stuff for you is interesting, let us know. We're trying to work out the details, the pricing. Obviously, these people that work for us that will do work with you will sit in on things like your normal editorial meetings, at least some of them, make sure that you're doing all the print-to-web stuff, and then they'll go and they'll do all the print-to-web work, right? So you're going to have a call to action in print about a gallery. They're going to go set up the gallery, and they'll take it further. They'll make sure all of those things get the most out of it. So hopefully, if you're interested in this, you'll let us know. If you've got this all under control and you just need us to coach you along, we're happy to do that too. We just want to make sure that everyone in the network is doing what they should be doing. So with that, I'm going to turn over the reins to Ryan. He's going to walk you through Ray's Deli, and I'll give you just a little background and I'll let him dig in. We realized maybe 6 months ago, we were talking with one of our corporate advisors, and he asked a question that was real fundamental. He said, why does a business care to work with you? And he asked it both of us and of you as our publishers that we work with. And I went into this, bit of a run, and then I realized he was asking a more fundamental question. Or maybe he stopped me and he said, no, that's not the question I'm asking. He said, why does a business care to reach people? Start at the beginning. And so Ray's Deli, it turns out this guy's name was Ray. Ray's Deli was an example we came up with to walk through this so that we could address every step of the why. But we also realized, and Ryan thought, this would be a good thing to run through with publishers to help them see, we talk about how do I build a guide. We talked about how do I run a blog, we talk about the how a lot. And this is our chance to stop and show you the why, provide some explanation around it, and hopefully make it more clear as to how this fits in to your business. So I'm going to let Ryan run through this, and I'll chime in just as I have something to add.
Thanks, Brian. So Ray owns a deli in Folsom. Folsom is where we're located. There is a local publication. In fact, we share offices with Style Magazine. So as a resident of Folsom, Ray gets Style Magazine. Now, if you've attended past office hours, we talk often about in the local content ecosystem that readers are also advertisers, and only in local is that typically true. Now, someone who reads like Sports Illustrated isn't necessarily also an advertiser because that's a really expensive national publication, but in the local market, local business owners that happen to also be readers can afford to advertise in Style. So they pick up Style, they're reading it, and we've talked about having a business basics page which says, hey, look at me, I have a website, I can do some digital stuff for you, and they see the call to action there to sign up for a free directory listing. So they go to Style Magazine's website, they create their free listing. The Ray is thinking, all right, this is a great local brand that I read, that I know, it's free, it's a no-brainer. So he goes and takes care of that. Now on this next slide, really, this is probably more for your benefit to understand this. I wouldn't necessarily have this be part of the conversation I was having with the potential advertiser, but it's important nonetheless to understand what happens next. All right, so Ray's going to get an email letting him know that there's lots of other things he can do on Style's website. The three key things that any business owner really thinks about it, if you really break it down fundamentally, is they want an inexpensive solution that'll help save them time and bring them new customers, right? If you hit those three things on any product you or service you offer, you have a pretty good chance that you'll be able to sell it, assuming you're not an incompetent salesperson, which we all know nobody on this call is, right? So Ray gets the email, he visits their site, and decides to, basically claim his listing, and it is a lead now for you. Style is also going to get a notification, and it's a nice warm lead. They can reach out to him and say, hey, I noticed you claimed your listing. Can I help you with any of your other marketing objectives? In this case, we'll say, that salesperson did a really good job. Ray ends up buying a ad in print as well as the premium directory listing, and we've gotten off to a good start in the relationship.
And on a couple quick points. So when someone creates a listing, someone creates an event, when someone basically takes any action on the site sends them a confirmation email. We've crafted these, we're refining these, we're adding new ones, but it comes from you, it comes from your site. And it says, thanks for posting your event. Don't forget to share it to Facebook. Do you run a business? Sign up for a business, which is why he went and he learned more about the directory listing. Likewise, even if you sign up for a free listing, it says, thanks, you created your listing. Did you know if you upgrade for less than $1 a day, you get X, Y, and Z? So we are nurturing these leads for you from a web software retention perspective, but there's also this lead that Ryan mentioned where it notifies you. I'll also go further just to say that we're just about done, and this week we'll deploy an upgrade that will allow us to send outbound invites in bulk to people. So let's say you get the email list from your chamber, we'll be able to work with you and send a message out to all of them from your site, encouraging them to do, well, lots of things potentially, but we'd really focus on wanting to convert them into directory listings and event listings so that you get more content, and then you'll of course be notified on who follows up. So, so a couple just clarifications on how this happens.
So then, thinking, how do I enhance the value of that listing for the business? I want to provide more value to them beyond just, a standard directory listing. Directory listings are great. It's the foundation for a lot of other things you can do, but it's more factual. It's got, their description, the link to their website, their email address, their hours of operations, things like that. So as a publication, you have the ability to do some really cool things. And we've talked about guides a lot in the past, but let's say a few months later, Style chooses to write a guide on the best local delis. Now remember, Ray is a deli. So knowing that, having that relationship with Ray, they call him up and say, hey, can you give us a quote for our guide? And would you be interested in offering a coupon along with this guide? And by the way, we're doing this, print piece. We're going to call it a special advertising section highlighting all the local delis. Would you like to be a part of that as well? All right. The guide is going to link out to his directory listing. Style, as the editor and publisher, is going to endorse Ray in some way. In this case, I made up that Ray is famous for his chicken parm sandwich, so they're going to make some comment about that. Hopefully that links back to the quote that they got. And Ray, being the savvy marketer he is, decides to post a video to his profile, his business directory listing, about why he's the best chicken parm in town. This works for a variety of reasons. One, it's like Style is putting their editorial seal of approval on Ray's Deli along with all the other delis in town by talking about what their value is or what they're known for. And it's a low price point. It's got print, it's got digital. In this example, I'm saying it's only $150. That might be a little bit low, but the point is, you approach them in a bundled thing, and you're giving. And Brian, help me out here. I guess you're providing a lot of value for a little price, so it's almost like a no-brainer for Ray.
Yeah, you're helping them tell their story, right? I mean, sometimes it's hard to do in an ad to tell all of the core value that they're after and that they want the consumer to know about. One thing I do want to highlight here, when you do this, you need to make sure that the business is also taking advantage of this, right? You're selling them things and they're going to reach your audience in this enhanced way, but this is also an opportunity for them because, as we've said before, local businesses, they struggle with, what am I going to post to social media? What am I going to use on my blog? How can I stay fresh with my own stuff? Well, if I'm in this guide, I would want to share, hey, go check out this reference to us in the style guide. It's, patting myself on the back. It gives me something to talk about. It drives my own existing customers there. And for you, the publisher, you want your paying advertisers to promote you. It reinforces that value proposition and drives traffic.
So, the outcome that we're trying to drive here is we want people to visit Style, see Ray's Deli, print out the coupon or whatever, bring it in, and Ray gets a new customer. Alternatively, there's another way that people find information locally. They go to Google and they type something in like best local deli in Folsom. All right. Now, if it was just Ray having his business listing, it's very unlikely, unless he happens to have those keywords in his description, that Google is going to return that result. However, because Style has created this great guide, people will find that, and as such, Style has increased their traffic because they're helping people find a valuable resource. They're helping Ray get a new customer. And the real thing here is they're creating engagement on their site. So they find the guide, they're clicking around, they're going to the business directory, maybe they see an event coming up, they click on that, and that's all great when it comes to other things Style is doing, such as banner ads. What I really wanted to get across here, though, is all of this is just one example of what can be done, but the ultimate role of Style here is the connector, right? And that's why I chose this graphic. They have the opportunity to help connect Ray and the consumers and a whole bunch of other people. Maybe it's Ray and another, complimentary deli across town or in the next district or whatever it is. We can do a lot of different things here to help businesses. And just to foreshadow a little bit, we're working on some really cool things to help businesses work better together and share the responsibility of marketing. So we're really excited about what that's going to entail as we continue to move forward. But this slide is really all about what the outcome is. So there's also some things that Ray can do to extend the experience, and this is more for you. You're going to want to, as Brian said before, mention some of these things and how businesses understand that they have these options. But in this example I made up and said, Ray's really smart, so we included a little flyer in each bag along with the sandwich and said, if you enjoyed the meal, go to Style and leave me a review. Customer knows Style, it's the big publication in town, so they head over there and they leave a review, and Ray emails them another coupon, when he gets the notification in. These reviews for Ray are great because he can put them on his website and show them off. He can share them automatically to Facebook, and we're basically helping Ray reinforce his marketing efforts for about 20 minutes worth of work. Once this is all set up, it almost kind of does its thing, and then the publisher, through the guide and the other things that we're doing, potentially sharing reviews to Facebook or whatever it may be, is promoting Ray's Deli for him. So you might not think of yourself as being in the service business, but by following this, editorial approach, you're actually helping Ray with his marketing, which is the really cool kind of 1 + 1 = 3 phenomenon going on here.
And again, I'll stress, there's work that we're doing, and there's things that we do in the directory to encourage people to sign up for or rather to get their reviews widget, right? Especially once they start collecting reviews. But for your advertisers, for those that you're close with, help them install this. It's really simple, and every time someone goes to their website, they're going to see your logo and links to your site. It's free advertising for you, and it connects them more closely to your brand. So you'll definitely want to embrace that to get this value.
So to close the loop on this, the process that I've kind of been walking through is what we call the editorial approach to sales. It basically helps you do a few different things. You're creating a valuable resource for the community and reinforcing your role as the go-to source for local info. There are other national players out there that are trying to do local, but they can't kind of give it that editorial flair that you can. So that's really your competitive advantage, if you will. You're providing a valuable tool for Ray. You've helped him save time and money. Most business owners will thank you if you can do one or both of those things. And you've sourced great content for you to repurpose and share. You've created a guide. You can talk about that in your email. You can post that to Facebook. You can share reviews that are being posted. There's all sorts of stuff that will make your job easier. And, we talk about user-generated content. This is one way to kind of prime that pump. And, of course, at the end of the day, everyone is making some money and is happy. So, it's kind of a win-win-win, as I like to say. You can see here on the right, it's kind of the life cycle of what we've just been talking about. It all starts with the free listing. You get a nice warm lead and you convert that into a paid upgrade or some other print ad or some other service you're offering. You then enhance it with guides and you get people sharing and user-generated content through reviews and sharing those back, and it just becomes this circular fulfillment for both you and for Ray, which is kind of the name of the game. What can we once it gets rolling, it is self-reinforcing.
So the point here is, every activity that we want you to undertake has value. Hopefully more than one piece of value, and hopefully to not just you, but your advertisers and to your readers. And so as you look at your next issue or your next editorial cycle, think about how you can incorporate these and think about what simple things you can do. If you're going to a chamber luncheon, start talking about these sorts of things. And if you're going to be doing a social promotion for Father's Day or say 4th of July, think about how these things can work in and how you can tell this story. And even for those businesses who might not sponsor that social promotion, turns out your site growing in prominence is good for them if they're on it, and that you can help with that. So when the social promotion takes off, you can also have these great guides and so forth. So again, hopefully this is appearing to integrate with you. And if any of this, again, seems like stuff you want to do but just don't have the capacity or manpower or whatever, talk to us about being part of this initial group that we'll be working with on the web editor and so forth. With that, we are going to be changing providers. We're going to be getting rid of GoToWebinar and switching to Join Me. It's something that we use for most of our calls. Basically, it's a little easier for everyone. It's a little bit more cost-effective for us, and there's some other benefits. So look for an email that we're going to be sending out. It's going to make it just a lot easier, too, for us to have these run on forever, which is one of the big issues that we have to keep rescheduling, and you have to keep signing up at GoToWebinar. So, so look for that and know that this link won't work next week, so you'll need to connect through Join Me. On that note, we'll open up the floor to any questions or clarifications that we can address. If you have questions about the Ray's Deli example or the services that we're talking about, or frankly just the launch plan and the growth plan, now's a good time to fire those off.